Yeah, my name's Benedict Millson, weightlifter, Olympic weightlifter. Weightlifting is my life, essentially. It's my job, it's my passion, it's my hobby. So I'm a coach as well. I coach at running, and I have my own club, Bounce Gym Weightlifting Club. Training at the minute is not good because after the British, in January, I started to have patellar tendonitis in both knees. For the last 2 weeks, I've actually stopped lifting and I'm doing like S&C, strength and conditioning stuff. So I'm training more, but it's not weightlifting. So therefore, I am not happy.
Okay, so you want to get back to it as soon as
I
possible.
definitely want to get back to weightlifting, yeah.
Yeah. Are you doing anything specific rehab for your knees?
Yeah. Seeing a physio at the moment. So I'm on box squats, so partial squats with a tempo. And I'm doing things like muscle snatch and push press.
Okay, nice.
So I'm trying to get back to, when I get back to weightlifting, I want to be the best athlete possible. So I'm trying to build up every other area. Well, I hit that total that was 301. In the 2 months after the British Championships, I got up to 321 kilos in the total.
Oh wow!
So my progress was really fast, and then took a little break. And it was after that big progress that I really thought I could really push for the Commonwealth Games next time, so 2026.
Next time.
So that's the big.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah.
20 kilos in a few months. Was that was that even on your snatch and clean and jerk, or was it weighted towards one or the other?
It was slightly more weighted to the clean and jerk, which has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
So it's been like I've had the front squat strength for a long time, and then a couple of technical changes in the jerk has really blown it up. So I was born with Erb's palsy, which is brachial plexus paralysis. I was twisted in the womb and had to be pulled out by the midwife, and they pulled my arm. It was either get pulled out or be born, stillborn. So they did that. They caused irreparable damage in my nerve, the brachial plexus nerve, which runs from the top of the head. It connects to the mouth, it connects to the lat, it connects to the hand, the forearm, the wrist. Essentially, I had no function at all. So I was really lucky. It got spotted really young, but throughout childhood, it was a big weakness. At the time it happened, I wasn't crying, I wasn't breastfeeding or anything, because my mum, and they did think that I might have been born stillborn. So I couldn't eat or anything, couldn't feed. So I had to be fed through a tube. And then I had physio from about 2 weeks old. So I got really lucky. They spotted it really early. Mum put us into gymnastics as a kid. And then it got better and better and better. And then from about the age of kind of 12 to 18 was when it really affected me mentally. I could see visible differences in my left shoulder towards my right. My left was a lot smaller, a lot weaker. And it would also dislocate kind of at will. I could just pop it out. There was no muscle there. And at the time I was running track and field, so I was doing 100 meters, and it didn't really affect me in the sense that I didn't really use my arms as much. Got to the university, started doing weightlifting, and it was obviously incredibly affected. Now, I was really lucky because my athletics coach beforehand was very big on mobility and mobilizing, so I could actually I had full range, so I could get my arm up overhead. A lot of people with Erb's palsy can't. They have something called the weighter's tip, which is internal rotation of the shoulder, flexion of the elbow, and flexion of the wrist, and they can't lift their arm up because of obviously there's no nerve supply to the shoulder and the lat. So I was lucky, got sorted out really quickly, got into weightlifting, and then I started building muscle, obviously overhead, and it's very gradually. I've had a lot of issues with it during weightlifting, and it has caused a lot of injuries. it's starting to become a little bit more even side to side, to the point where my current coach doesn't think it's an issue at all. So it's probably more psychological at the moment. But when we're looking, I'm looking on Instagram and Google, typing in athletes with Erb's palsy, and there are none who do weightlifting. There are none who present like I do.
You said you were given physio from 2 weeks onwards. Is that something you had to keep up through your childhood, or was it just something you kind of built up through gymnastics, through weightlifting?
So it's not the issue a lot of people have with Erb's palsy. Is it's not the midwives and the nurses don't always recognize it straight away. Obviously, as a newborn. I was really lucky. I got it sorted. I got it identified really quickly. So I had that advantage over most other people, especially born in England. The physio exercise at the time were things like gripping. So my mum would put, obviously I don't remember this, but my mum would put a finger out and I would just have to grip it with my hand. And then my mum is absolutely incredible. Benedict Millson, artist on Instagram. She's an artist. She gave us like things like cutlery, like knives and forks, but with a big handle so that I could still use it. Because otherwise I would just not use my arm at all, and I would just do everything right-handed. So she would tell me stories of when I was putting on my like a t-shirt when I was a kid, and I was just doing it with one hand, and obviously that arm was getting real strong, and my left arm wasn't. She was really supportive. She would give me these things, cutlery with big handles, so I could use both, and it was more based around like play. So I personally didn't have to think about doing anything. Obviously, I was a kid; I knew no different. But my mum put in a lot of effort. And then once I started to get to, let's say, age 11 or 12, I started to get into track and field. I became obsessed with having big shoulders. Now, whether this was just a boy going through puberty thing, wanting to look like Ronnie Coleman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or whether this was I was looking in the mirror and seeing a big difference and I was really embarrassed about it, I don't know. But I started to do a lot of upper body work, mainly calisthenics. So I was mainly doing pull-ups and press-ups and whatnot. So that was kind of, I was intensely rehabbing it for 18 years, and then I started weightlifting at age 19. And then weightlifting has been the rehab. And obviously I've gone into more detail. I've done a strength and conditioning degree. I've gone to physios. I've learned from loads of people. I've expanded my knowledge, but I have essentially been doing rehab for, well, I don't know how 25 years. Aside from physical, just the big one has been, I would say everyone in my life currently is a weightlifter. So all my friends, everyone who I'm close to is a weightlifter. So the community side of it has been incredible. It's my job, so I have had job opportunities come from it as well. In terms of the mental health stuff, I am 100% more confident now in myself. I still have really low self-esteem, but compared to where I was, I think it's greatly improved. I can now go to bed at night and think I am currently really proud of my achievements. And that's quite a nice feeling. Now, whether that's I'm proud of myself as a weightlifter, or I'm proud of myself as a coach, or as a man, that has, and I think sport has given me that, because I know that I am the first. I'm assuming the first weightlifter with Erb's palsy, definitely in Britain, probably the world, and I'm definitely the first Olympic weightlifter with Erb's palsy to be a national champion. So I am proud of that, and the main reason I keep training is to be that inspiration for the kids who find out they have this condition, and that they can see that life isn't hopeless. So a brief history. I've had very serious mental health issues. I've only been formally diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, but I've had symptoms of psychosis, and I'm currently trying to go through getting diagnosed for autism. Now, whether which one's right, I don't know. It's nearly taken my life multiple times, so it is a big thing, like you mentioned in the statistic. It is a big actual killer of men. So I understand that a lot of people have kind of more common issues like anxiety, depression, and that can make life miserable. But at the end of the day, it is also actually killing people. So it is important to know about this for your quality of life, but also to save lives. So it's nearly taken my life on 4 occasions. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go into too much detail on that unless you want to. It's important that I and other people talk about it, because it makes it seem less scary, I think, to someone who's just been diagnosed. If you've just been diagnosed, when I got my diagnosis on Wednesday, the 3rd of June, 2012, of OCD, I was scared and paranoid, and I thought I was the only person to have it, except Adrian Monk from the 90s show Monk. Now, I looked online. It turns out loads of people have it. A lot of people I look up to had it. So it's important, I think, for other. Now, obviously, my influence is only in weightlifting, but if another weightlifter, maybe he's a new beginner, he looks online, he sees that I have it, it might become less scary. It might be, he can do it, why can't I? He can go through it and live life to the fullest, why can't I? And I think just providing that inspiration and education not only save lives, but also will help other people's quality of life, because they won't feel as alone. And they know they have someone to not just look up to, but like talk to. And that's the benefit of social media. People send me messages all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Something that I wanted to talk on was, I think for a lot of people for different mental health conditions, getting that diagnosis is quite a pivotal time. I noticed that you can remember that date bang on, and that's probably because it was a very big day for you. What was your process of thinking, actually, I think I need to go and seek professional help for this?
So I was 11, I think, 11 or 12 when my issues first started happening. Now, I didn't get diagnosed until a lot later on, but I was in a bad way, and I'd been sectioned once or twice, and it wasn't really my choice. It was more my mum's choice, I think. Well, it was a bit of both, but she was obviously concerned. It got to the point where I was becoming concerned with myself, and I wandered off into town. I lived in a local. I lived up north, but I lived in a real small town. So I wandered off into town on my own, and went into like a youth club, I think, and just spoke to the first adult there, because I didn't want to talk to my mum, purely because I was embarrassed, and I thought she would be not embarrassed. I thought she would be let down, and obviously she wasn't, because she's fantastic. I went to this youth club. I spoke to this person, said, look, I am having these thoughts. I am, harming myself frequently. I am actually getting a little bit scared. I don't think it's puberty, for example, like a lot of doctors have told me. I don't think it's puberty, etc., etc. He then calmed me down, spoke to my mum, rang her up. She came and got me. And then me and my mum had this, like, I seem to remember having like a 2-hour like crying session with each other, like a crying with relief session. And then it was, and then it, no, I'm not gonna say it was all fine, but it got a lot easier after that.
Yeah.
It got a lot easier after that. So I know, because my mum is incredible, and she's had issues herself with various things. She was, the first thing she said, I don't remember exactly the first thing she said, but she said something like along the lines of, I just want you to be happy and I love you regardless. Yeah. And that was the biggest thing for me, was that I thought that I would let her down, and she obviously was not let down at all. And she was very proud that I went into town and did it myself. So yeah, and then everything after that became a little bit easier. It was a big weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And then it took a long time to get diagnosed, because I was going to different psychiatrists, social workers, psychologists, etc. But that was the thing that kickstarted it. So my advice would be, find 1 or 2 really trusted people, whether it's your mum, whether it's your dad, whether it's your partner, whether it's your best friend, could be a coach as well, could be a weightlifting coach or a teacher, someone that you really, really trust. Tell them. And my advice is, I think a lot of men don't do it because they want to be seen as, you know, what's the word? They want to be seen as like an hard man, tough. And if anything, you're going to be harder by telling someone.
Yeah.
That shows real strength.